The Deep Space Monitoring Station Sierra 9 hung silently against the backdrop of endless stars, its array of sensors constantly probing the darkness for signs of intelligent life. Inside the station's primary observation deck, Commander Sarah Chen stood before the curved viewport, her dark eyes reflecting the distant pinpoints of light. 20 years of xenobiological research hadn't prepared her for what the sensors had detected 12 hours ago. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tremor of anticipation in her chest. The station's AI complied, and the strange signal filled the observation deck once more. Unlike traditional radio waves or standard communication protocols, this was something entirely different, a resonance that seemed to vibrate through subspace itself. "Analysis complete, Commander," announced Dr. Marcus Patel, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "The signal structure is unlike anything in our database, but its complexity suggests artificial origin. What's more interesting is where it's coming from." Sarah turned from the viewport, raising an eyebrow. "Show me." The holographic display expanded, revealing a three-dimensional map of known space. Red markers appeared across various sectors, each representing a location where the signal had been detected. The pattern was unsettling, systematic, methodical, like the footprints of something massive moving through the galaxy. "These markers," Marcus continued, his voice dropping lower, "they correspond perfectly with the locations of every recorded extinction event in the past century. The Arcturians, the Centauri Collective, the Proxima Alliance, all gone silent in the exact same pattern." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The disappearance of advanced civilizations had been one of the greatest mysteries facing humanity since they'd ventured into space. Now, perhaps, they were finally seeing the bigger picture. "There's something else," Marcus added, bringing up a new set of data. "The signal contains embedded gravitational signatures. Whatever's generating it evolved in an environment with gravity approximately 1/8 of Earth's." Sarah's eyes widened as the implications hit her. Most spacefaring species they'd encountered came from worlds with lower gravity than Earth, their bodies adapted to more gentle conditions. Humanity, born in the crushing embrace of their homeworld, had always been the outlier, the heavy worlders, as some call them. "Cross-reference these extinction events with planetary conditions," she commanded, her mind racing. The results confirmed her suspicion. Every affected species had evolved on worlds with gravity similar to or lower than the signal source. The station's emergency alert system suddenly blared to life, red warning lights casting dancing shadows across the observation deck. "Commander," the AI's voice was urgent, "we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the Orion Arm. They match the gravitational profile of the signal." Sarah moved quickly to the command console, her muscles, dense and powerful by alien standards, responding with the speed that Earth's gravity had demanded of her species. "Show me." The holographic display shifted, revealing what looked like tears in the fabric of space itself. Through these wounds in reality, something was emerging. Vast structures that defied conventional physics, their surfaces rippling like liquid metal, but radiating power on a scale that made the station's sensors scream in protest. "Send everything we have to Earth Defense Command," Sarah ordered, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "And prepare the quantum entanglement communicator. They need to know what we've discovered." As the data streamed back to Earth, Sarah studied the readings with growing understanding. Humanity had always wondered why they'd evolved under such harsh conditions, why Earth had forced them to become stronger, faster, and more resilient than most known species. Now, facing what appeared to be a methodical extinction event moving through the galaxy, that evolutionary history might prove to be their salvation. The structures continued to emerge, their presence distorting space-time around them. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities, drawing on decades of xenobiological research. If these entities had evolved in low-gravity environments, they might have never encountered a species adapted to conditions like Earth's. Humanity's curse, their evolution on what other species considered a death world. might be their greatest advantage. "Commander," Marcus called out, his voice tight with tension, "I'm detecting energy buildups within those structures. They're preparing to move, and based on their trajectory." He didn't need to finish the sentence. The holographic display showed clearly where they were headed, deeper into human-controlled space. Sarah straightened, her earth-worn frame carrying the weight of this moment with practiced ease. "Send a Priority 1 message to all human colonies and outposts in the projected path. Tell them." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Tell them humanity's greatest test is coming, and the very forces that forged us will be our shield." As the message was transmitted, Sarah watched the alien structures continue their emergence into normal space. Humanity had spread across the stars, building colonies and stations, always pushing against the harsh conditions of space. But they had never forgotten their roots as survivors, as warriors forged in the crucible of Earth's merciless embrace. The signal continued to pulse through space, a herald of destruction that had spelled doom for so many civilizations. But this time, it had reached a species that understood what it meant to evolve under pressure, to adapt to conditions that would crush others. This time, it had reached humanity. The quantum entanglement communicator hummed to life, establishing a direct link to Earth Defense Command. As Sarah prepared to brief them on the situation, she couldn't help but feel a grim sense of purpose. Everything in human history, their harsh evolution, their struggle against Earth's crushing gravity, their determination to survive against all odds, had prepared them for this moment. The galaxy was about to learn why humans were called Deathworlders, and why that title had never been a curse, but a promise of survival against impossible odds. Earth Defense Command's Strategic Operations Center buzzed with controlled chaos as Admiral Helena Torres studied the holographic display dominating the center of the room. The massive underground facility, buried beneath 2 kilometers of rock, was humanity's primary command center for extraterrestrial threats. Today, it felt barely adequate for the scale of what they faced. "Show me the Sierra 9 data again," she ordered, her weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of tactical displays. The hologram shifted, displaying the massive structures that had emerged at the edge of human space. 3 days had passed since Commander Chen's initial report, and the situation had only grown more dire. "We're calling them Void Shapers," reported Dr. James Morrison, Earth's leading genotechnologist. "Their technology appears to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality itself." He gestured, and the hologram zoomed in on one of the structures. "Their ships, if we can call them that, aren't built, they're grown. The entire structure appears to be a single, living organism." The Admiral's eyes narrowed as she watched the recorded footage of a Void Shaper vessel consuming an abandoned research outpost. The station's matter wasn't destroyed. It was transformed, absorbed into the crystalline lattice of the alien vessel. "And the gravity readings?" "Confirmed," James replied, pulling up Commander Chen's analysis. "They evolved in an environment with roughly 1/8 of Earth's gravity. Their entire civilization, their technology, their biology, it's all optimized for low-gravity conditions." A new alert flashed across the tactical display. Captain Maya Rodriguez, commanding the frontier defense vessel UES Hyperion, appeared in a secondary hologram. Her face was streaked with sweat, her uniform showing signs of recent combat. "Admiral, we've just engaged a Void Shaper scout vessel. You need to see this." The tactical display switched to the Hyperion's combat footage. The human vessel, designed to withstand the crushing pressures of gas giant exploration, was executing maneuvers that would have torn apart most ships. The Void Shaper vessel, despite its clear technological superiority, seemed unable to track the Hyperion's aggressive, high G-turns. "We discovered something crucial," Maya reported, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "Their targeting systems can't compensate for the extreme maneuvers our ships can handle. More importantly, when we pushed our gravitational drive to maximum output, their hull began to show signs of stress." Admiral Torres leaned forward, her mind racing with possibilities. Elaborate. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's built for efficiency in low-G environments. When we projected our ship's gravitational field at them, cranked up to Earth normal levels, their structure began to destabilize. They're not used to operating under these conditions. The implications were staggering. Humanity had always viewed their evolution on Earth as a harsh necessity. Their bodies and technology adapted to handle crushing pressures and extreme conditions. Now, those very adaptations might be their salvation. What are our casualties? Torres asked, noting the damage visible on the Hyperion's hull. Minimal, Maya replied with a grim smile. Our crew can handle the G-forces required for these maneuvers. The Void Shapers, they don't seem to have evolved with these kinds of stresses in mind. The Admiral turned to Dr. Morrison. How quickly can we modify our fleet's gravitational drives to weaponize this advantage? The technology exists, he responded, already pulling up engineering schematics. Our ships are built to handle Earth-like conditions as a baseline. If we overcharge the grav drives, create focused fields of intense gravity. He paused, calculating. It would be like subjecting them to the pressure at the bottom of Earth's oceans. Their crystalline structures would shatter. A new alert cut through the conversation. Multiple Void Shaper vessels had appeared near the Arcturus colony. Their pattern of systematic extinction was continuing. But this time, they faced a species that understood what it meant to evolve under pressure. Admiral Torres straightened, her decision made. Implement the modifications. Contact every shipyard in human space. I want our entire fleet retrofitted with enhanced gravitational weapons within 48 hours. She turned to the assembled command staff. Humanity evolved on what most species consider a death world. Our bodies adapted to crush forces that would shatter their crystalline forms. Now, we'll show them why that matters. The Strategic Operations Center erupted into activity as orders were transmitted across human space. Ships began converging on key strategic points, their crews, all born and raised in Earth's gravity, preparing for combat maneuvers that would kill most alien species. As the first reports of successful modifications came in, Admiral Torres watched the tactical display track the Void Shapers advance. Humanity had spread across the stars, building colonies and stations, always pushing against the harsh conditions of space. But they had never forgotten their roots as survivors, as warriors forged in the crucible of Earth's merciless embrace. The quantum communications network lit up with reports from across human space as the fleet mobilized. Ships that had once been considered over-engineered, built to withstand pressures no other species would ever need to endure, were being transformed into weapons that would turn humanity's evolutionary history into a force of liberation. The Void Shapers had spent millennia consuming civilizations that had evolved in gentle environments, similar to their own. Now they faced a species born in gravity that would crush their crystalline forms to dust. Earth's harsh embrace had forged humanity into something unique in the galaxy, and the price of that evolution was about to be paid in full. The UES Hyperion's bridge hummed with tension as Captain Maya Rodriguez watched the tactical display. Her ship led a flotilla of 5 vessels, all modified with the new gravitational weapon systems, on approach to the Arcturus colony. The Void Shapers had already begun their harvest, their crystalline vessels looming over the colony like abstract sculptures of doom. All ships report ready, Captain, announced Lieutenant Kai Chen, his fingers hovering over the tactical controls. Gravitational drive systems charged to maximum capacity. Maya nodded, her mind focused on the battle ahead. The modifications to their ships had been completed in record time, driven by the desperate need to counter the Void Shapers' advance. Now, they would see if humanity's adaptation to high gravity would prove to be the advantage they hoped. New contact, called out Sensor Officer Priya Patel. Reading multiple signatures emerging from the colony's surface. They're different from the Void Shapers. The tactical display shifted, showing small vessels rising from Arcturus's surface. Their design was organic, almost fluid, completely unlike the crystalline geometry of the Void Shaper ships. More importantly, they were broadcasting a signal, a desperate plea for help. "This is Emissary Zera Lind of the Luminary Remnant," a melodic voice transmitted across all frequencies. "Please, we require immediate evacuation. We are the last survivors of our system, hiding from the crystal death for generations." Maya's eyes widened. The Luminary were supposed to have been extinct for over a century, one of the first civilizations to fall to the Void Shapers' systematic harvest. Yet here were survivors, preserving their culture in secret on human-controlled worlds. "Void Shaper vessels are moving to intercept," Kai reported, tension evident in his voice. "They're targeting the Luminary ships." Maya's decision was instant. "All vessels, combat formation Delta. Protect those refugee ships. Time to show these crystal monsters what happens when they face a species that evolved under real pressure." The human flotilla surged forward, their engines pushing them to accelerations that would have killed most alien species. The crews, their bodies conditioned by generations of evolution on Earth, barely noticed the G-forces that would have pulverized the crystalline forms of their adversaries. "Gravitational weapons online," Kai announced. "Target locked on the nearest Void Shaper vessel. Fire." The space between the ships distorted as concentrated gravitational fields, equivalent to the pressure at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, lashed out at the Void Shaper vessel. The effect was immediate and devastating. The crystalline structure of the alien ship began to crack, its perfect geometric forms unable to withstand forces they were never evolved to endure. "It's working," Priya exclaimed. "Their hull integrity is failing under the gravitational stress." The Void Shapers responded, their vessels releasing swarms of smaller crystalline entities. But these too had evolved for the gentle embrace of low-gravity environments. The human ships executed maneuvers that should have been impossible, their reinforced hulls, and gravity-adapted crews allowing them to turn the very forces of nature into weapons. "Luminary vessels are approaching our position," Kai reported. They're beautiful." He wasn't wrong. The refugee ships seemed to dance through space, their organic hulls flowing like liquid mercury. But they were clearly not built for combat, their delicate structures designed for stealth rather than confrontation. "Get them behind our formation," Maya ordered. "Concentrate gravitational weapons fire on the lead Void Shaper vessel. Let's show them what Earth gravity feels like." The combined gravitational assault from the human flotilla created a zone of crushing force around the target. The crystalline vessel's structure couldn't adapt fast enough. With a silent flash of light, it shattered into millions of fragments, its perfectly ordered crystalline form unable to maintain cohesion under Earth-normal gravitational stress. "The other Void Shaper vessels are pulling back," Priya announced, amazement in her voice. They're retreating." Maya allowed herself a small smile. They've never faced a species that could turn their own environmental limitations against them. "Begin rescue operations for the Luminary vessels." As the human ships moved to protect the refugees, Emissary Zera Lind's voice came through again, filled with wonder. "We have hidden from the crystal death for generations, watching them consume world after world. How are you able to fight them?" Maya's response was filled with pride in humanity's unique heritage. "We evolved on a world that would crush your people and shatter their crystalline forms. Earth's gravity forged us into something unique in the galaxy, a species strong enough to stand against their harvest." The Luminary vessels docked with the human ships as the Void Shapers retreated to regroup. Through the viewports, Maya could see the refugees, their bodies tall and graceful, evolved for much gentler conditions than humanity's homeworld. Yet they had survived through ingenuity and determination, qualities that humanity deeply respected. "Send word to Admiral Torres," Maya ordered. "Tell her we found survivors of the Void Shapers' previous harvests, and we've confirmed our gravitational weapons are effective." The tide is turning. As the flotilla set course for Earth, Maya watched the tactical display track the retreating Void Shaper vessels. For the first time since they began their harvest of the galaxy, the crystalline entities had encountered a force they couldn't simply absorb or overcome, a species whose very evolution had prepared them for this conflict. The luminary refugees would bring valuable intelligence about their ancient enemy, but more importantly, they represented hope. Humanity's curse of evolving on a high-gravity death world had become a blessing, not just for themselves, but for all the survivors of the Void Shaper's relentless harvest. The crucible of Earth had forged humanity into the shield the galaxy desperately needed. The grand chamber of Earth's Unity complex had never hosted such a diverse gathering. Admiral Torres stood at the central podium, surrounded by representatives from a dozen different species, all survivors of the Void Shaper's systematic harvest, all brought together by humanity's unexpected resistance against their common enemy. Emissary Zeralyn of the Luminary floated gracefully near the front, her bioluminescent patterns shifting with emotion. Beside her, the crystalline silicon forms of the Nexus Collective hummed in harmonic resonance, while the gaseous Aetherian delegation swirled within their containment fields. Each species represented a different approach to survival, a different path of evolution, and each had suffered devastating losses to the Void Shapers. The battle at Arcturus proved what we suspected. Torres began, bringing up a holographic display of the recent combat footage. The Void Shapers' greatest strength, their advanced crystalline technology, is also their greatest weakness. They evolved in and designed their systems for low-gravity environments. They never imagined facing a species forged in the crushing pressure of a heavy world. The hologram shifted to show Earth's gravity well compared to the homeworlds of their allies. The difference was stark. Earth's fierce embrace had forced humanity to evolve into something uniquely resilient. But gravity isn't just about strength, continued Dr. Morrison, stepping forward. It's about adaptation. He gestured to the Aetherian representatives. Your species' expertise in fluid dynamics has helped us refine our gravitational weapon systems. The Void Shapers can't predict what they've never encountered. The next display showed the new modifications being applied to human ships across their territory. Inspired by Earth's ocean currents, the weapons now created complex gravitational eddies that could tear apart Void Shaper vessels with the same forces that had shaped Earth's deepest canyons. We've also incorporated luminary stealth technology, added Captain Rodriguez, recently promoted after her success at Arcturus. Their experience hiding from the Void Shapers for generations has proven invaluable. Combined with our heavy world engineering, we can now deliver devastating gravitational strikes from completely unexpected vectors. The assembled aliens watched in fascination as simulation after simulation showed human ships, built to withstand pressures that would crush most species, turning those same forces into weapons. The Void Shapers' perfect crystalline forms, evolved for efficiency in gentle environments, shattered under stresses they were never designed to endure. But we need more than weapons. Torres continued, her voice carrying the weight of command. We need unity. Each of your species has survived because you adapted, found ways to resist that the Void Shapers never expected. Together, we can turn those adaptations into a force they can't counter. The Nexus Collective's harmonic voice filled the chamber. Our analysis confirms the human strategy. The Void Shapers' pattern of harvest has never encountered significant resistance because they targeted species similar to themselves, evolved for optimal efficiency in controlled conditions. Humanity's inefficient evolution under extreme pressure has created capabilities they cannot predict. Zeralyn's bioluminescence pulsed with agreement. The Luminary have watched them for centuries, learning their patterns. They expand through absorption, converting all they encounter into forms compatible with their crystalline nature, but they cannot absorb what would shatter them. The tactical display updated with new intelligence gathered from the combined knowledge of all present species. The Void Shapers' harvest had always followed a pattern, targeting worlds with conditions similar to their own, systematically absorbing and converting all they encountered. Earth and its colonies, with their crushing gravity and extreme conditions, represented something entirely outside their experience. We've developed new combat doctrines, announced Captain Rodriguez, bringing up footage from recent engagements. Human ships now carry mixed crews, our people handling the high-G maneuvers while your specialists operate the enhanced systems we've developed together. The Void Shapers are facing something they've never encountered: true adaptive warfare. The display showed human vessels executing maneuvers that would kill most species, while luminary stealth systems and Etherian fluid dynamics turned gravitational forces into weapons more devastating than any conventional arsenal. The Void Shapers' perfect crystalline forms, optimized for their own environment, proved catastrophically vulnerable to the very forces that had shaped humanity. They're already changing their patterns, Torres noted, highlighting recent tactical data. For the first time in their history of harvest, they're being forced to adapt. But adaptation takes time. Time they've never needed before. Time we won't give them. The assembled species, each a survivor of the Void Shapers' relentless expansion, watched as humanity's plans unfolded. Their heavy world evolution, once seen as a harsh curse that set them apart from galactic society, had become the foundation of resistance. "We're launching a major offensive," Torres announced, bringing up the strategic map. "Combined fleets, using our Unify technologies." The Void Shapers believed they could harvest all life into their perfect crystalline pattern. Instead, they've united the galaxy's survivors under the banner of adaptation and diversity. As the meeting concluded and plans were set in motion, Admiral Torres watched the various species departing, each unique, each adapted to different conditions, each bringing their own strength to the Alliance. Humanity's harsh evolution had made them strong enough to fight, but it was their ability to adapt, to unite these diverse species, and turn their differences into advantages that would ultimately decide the galaxy's fate. The Void Shapers had never faced a force like this, species united not by uniformity, but by their very differences. And leading them were the Deathworlders, the humans whose harsh evolution had prepared them not just to survive, but to protect. The massive fleet assembled at the edge of the Perseus Arm represented the greatest concentration of military force the galaxy had ever seen. Human warships, their hulls reinforced to withstand crushing gravitational forces, formed the core of the armada. Around them, luminary stealth vessels shifted like liquid mercury, while Etherian ships rode the gravitational waves with fluid grace. The crystalline ships of the Nexus Collective hummed in harmonic resonance, their frequencies calibrated to strengthen the fleet's unified gravitational fields. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the UES Thunder, humanity's newest flagship. The vessel represented everything they'd learned in their war against the Void Shapers, built to channel and amplify the very forces that had forged humanity on their heavy world. "The Void Shapers' primary communion nexus is confirmed," reported Captain Rodriguez from her position, commanding the tactical division. "They've gathered nearly their entire collective in response to our advance, just as the luminary intelligence suggested they would." Torres nodded, studying the massive crystalline structures ahead. The Void Shapers had never faced a serious threat before, had never needed to concentrate their forces. Now, challenged by species they couldn't simply absorb and convert, they had reverted to a fundamental directive: gather and overwhelm. "All ships, battle formations," Torres commanded, her voice carrying across the quantum-linked fleet. "Remember your training. We're not just fighting for humanity today. We're fighting for every species that survived their harvest, and every species that will come after." The fleet moved with practiced precision, each species playing to their evolutionary strengths. Human ships took point positions, their reinforced hulls and gravity-adapted crews ready to execute maneuvers that would tear apart lesser vessels. Luminary ships slipped into stealth patterns, while Etherian vessels prepared to manipulate the gravitational waves themselves. "They're responding," announced Commander Chen from her science station. "Energy signatures suggest they're attempting to adapt their crystalline lattice to withstand increased gravitational stress." "Too little, too late," Torres replied with grim satisfaction. "They've had millions of years to evolve in their gentle environments. They can't match what Earth's gravity forged in us over billions of years." The Void Shapers struck first, their vessels releasing waves of crystalline energy designed to convert matter into forms compatible with their own nature. But the Allied fleet was ready. Human ships charged directly into the waves, their gravitational shields, enhanced by Aetherian fluid dynamics, dispersing the energy harmlessly. All ships, execute Operation Earth Force, Torres commanded. The human fleet split into predetermined groups, each working in concert with their alien allies. They began generating overlapping gravitational fields, creating a massive zone of crushing pressure that mimicked the conditions at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans. The effect on the Void Shaper fleet was devastating. Their crystalline forms, optimized for efficiency in low-gravity environments, began to crack under stresses they were never designed to endure. But rather than retreat, they pressed forward, their collective consciousness apparently unable to comprehend the possibility of failure. "They're adapting," Chen called out. "Their outer layers are attempting to restructure to distribute the gravitational stress. Now we show them why adaptation isn't just about survival," Torres replied. "All ships implement the diversity protocol." The Allied fleet's formation shifted again, this time creating complex, unpredictable patterns of gravitational force. Human ships executed high-G maneuvers that would kill most species, while luminary vessels used their stealth technology to appear and disappear, striking from impossible angles. Aetherian ships manipulated the gravitational waves themselves, turning the Void Shaper's ordered universe into chaos. The massive crystalline structures of the Void Shaper's communion nexus began to shatter, their perfect geometric forms unable to maintain cohesion under the combined assault. But as their physical forms broke apart, something unexpected happened. The quantum communications network suddenly pulsed with a new signal, not the usual harvest directive, but something older, more fundamental. "We're receiving a transmission," Chen reported, her voice filled with wonder. It's their base consciousness." Through the quantum network, the Void Shapers communicated not in words but in concepts, in fundamental truths they had never been forced to confront before. They had evolved in an environment of perfect order, had spread across the galaxy, converting all they encountered into forms that matched their crystalline nature. But now, they faced something their perfect efficiency couldn't overcome. The strength that came from struggle, from adaptation to harsh conditions. "They're standing down," Rodriguez announced, disbelief evident in her voice. "The remaining vessels, they're withdrawing from combat formation." The quantum network hummed with the Void Shaper's final transmission, an acknowledgement of something their perfectly ordered minds had never conceived. The very inefficiencies they had sought to eliminate, the harsh conditions they had avoided, had created species capable of opposing them. Humanity's evolution under crushing gravity had produced strength they couldn't match, while the diversity of their allies had created adaptive strategies they couldn't counter. As the crystalline fleet retreated into the depths of space, Torres turned to her crew, human and alien alike. "Send word to Earth. The harvest is over. The galaxy's survivors are under humanity's protection now." The victory celebration that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Species that had hidden from the Void Shapers for generations emerged from their refuges. The survivors gathered on Earth, their different forms and evolutionary paths, a testament to the strength found in diversity. In the years that followed, humanity's role in the galaxy transformed. Their harsh evolution on Earth had made them strong enough to fight, but it was their ability to unite different species, to turn their varied adaptations into strength, that truly changed the cosmic order. The term Deathworlder became not a mark of separation, but a badge of honor, a promise that the strong would protect those still evolving, still adapting. The Void Shapers were never seen again, but their legacy lived on in the alliance they had inadvertently created. Humanity had proved that true strength came not from imposing uniformity, but from embracing the harsh forces that forge evolution. The galaxy's future would be shaped not by perfect crystalline order, but by the beautiful chaos of adaptation and growth. Earth's gravity had forged humanity into warriors, but it was their choice to become protectors that truly defined their legacy as Deathworlders.